This morning we made a call to try and make some silage. It has been the wettest July on record, and today is the 1st of August, and it's really time that we had our second cut silage made and stored for the winter. Silage is what we feed our cattle primarily over the winter, and our sheep. It is fermented grass, so we cut the grass when it's good and leafy, full of protein, summer sun on it. We let it dry for 24 to 48 hours and then we bring it in. Still quite moist, you get a certain amount of runoff from it, but it retains an awful lot of the nutrients. The other ways of storing grass would be in hay, which is much more dried out. It will tend to dry for maybe 5 to 7 days, and haylage, which is kind of somewhere in between. Haylage and silage you'll see wrapped with plastic in the form of bales, or else in a big silo with a plastic cover over the top, weighed down by something like tires. We tend to feed mostly silage because that's what we can make in bulk, and we just haven't had the weather to make the sort of silage we would like. So this year the silage is going to only get a few hours of lying. It was mowed this morning, and I'm going to show you what way the ground was left by the mower, and it's being rowed up now, which condenses all of the grass from maybe a 20 to 25 foot area of the field into one small row. That will allow what sunlight there is today to dry the ground, which means that whenever the harvester comes to lift the grass and the tractors and trailers come to draw it away to our yard, hopefully the ground will get dried by the sun, because the grass won't be covering it. So it's all down to minimising the damage to the ground while getting as dry a crop in as possible. But the crop isn't going to be dry really, it's going to be pretty wet. So we're running into our first problem here with the wet ground. The big mower was in, it's a big self-propelled thing, and it was bogging into the ground in some of the wetter places, and as you can see it's sort of left a little bit of a mess. So that's bad enough from the point of view of damage in the field, but what you also get is soil in the grass, which can be quite a big problem because listeria can form in the silage as it ferments, and that'll actually kill sheep and cattle. So we can't lift that particular bit of grass here in this wet part of the field and put it into the silo, so I'm going to be marking it out with electric fence posts. I spoke to the man on the rake, so he'll be coming around and bringing all this grass into one tight bundle so that the harvester can lift it more efficiently. And I've asked him to just leave out these areas, and I'm going to mark them out with electric fence posts. He's pretty good, he'll see it anyway, but just in case he wouldn't, I'll mark it out so we're not lifting any of that into the silo and killing our cattle. We're typically in a drought at this time of year in this part of County Down, and this year we've had 4 weeks solid of rain, and maybe the odd day here and there where it hasn't rained, or it's only rained a little bit. In this case, this is our second cut, so this ground was cut in springtime, or early summer rather. I think it was the very beginning of June, and that would have been the best sort of highest volume, highest protein cut, and then it was fertilised or slurry put on it, and this is what the end result is. It's grown back out again over a period of about 6 weeks. Now the advantage of him rigging this now, so it's only about lunchtime now and they're going to come this afternoon and lift it, is that by clearing all this grass into larger heaps, he's leaving an awful lot of exposed cut grass, which will hopefully dry out in the sunlight, so that whenever the harvester and the big heavy trailers come, the ground will be a little bit drier and therefore less likely to mark. There'll be less compaction, so there'll be less damage done to the ground and the soil structure, and then we'll get a better crop going forward. So again, we're just dealing with the year we have. That is wet, wet, wet grass. Now what you would be looking for when you're ready to harvest grass would be, let me see if I can get you set up here. If you wring the grass in your hands, there's no runoff and your hands are just damp, but in this case I'm wringing it out and it's actually running down my hand, so that is far too wet. When we come to feed it to the cattle, I would expect that to be quite damp. The issue is when they're eating that, they're eating water as well as grass, so they're filling up far faster with less nutrients, so it does make it harder to get the nutrients that we need into the animals and get them to gain the sort of weight that we want. But the good news is this grass is very leafy, very high quality. There's a dry bit there actually, and so it'll be full of protein, and if only it were dry it would actually be fantastic silage, but you can't win them all. So we're doing what we can, we're making the best of a bad situation, and I'm sure there's a lot of farmers in the UK and Ireland that are looking at this and thinking, we're in exactly the same boat, and maybe they're even looking at me thinking that I'm quite lucky because at least I'm getting mine harvested, and I'm very grateful that we have contractors that can come to us at such short notice.